the screen, you can see our website, www.dolphincommunicationproject.org, and you can stay in touch by email, and you can find us on social media. So today, we are going to help the dolphins get their spots. This is Paul on screen asking for a little help picking out his markings. And I'm Kel. I am Bimini, DCP's Bimini Research Manager. I can't even say my title properly. And I'm going to be leading today's talk. And I'm joined by Raina, who's there on screen, I think. Hi, Raina. And she's going to help with the artistic portion of today's talk. The chat is monitored by Dr. Kathleen. She's DCP's director. So remember along the way, if you have any questions, you can submit those to everyone or to Kathleen Dudzinski in the chat. And I'll make sure I check periodically in case anyone accidentally sends them to Dolphin Communication Project. So a reminder, we're recording, so if you don't want to be seen, keep your video off and your microphone will stay muted, so use the chat function for your questions. So first, what species are we going to talk about? And if you've seen some of DCP's other webinars, you know that we study Atlantic spotted dolphins in the Bahamas. So Atlantic spotted dolphin is its common name, and based on this common name, where do you think they live? Anyone? The Pacific Ocean. No, they live in the Atlantic Ocean, and guess what they look like? They have spots. So this common name in English makes a lot of sense, but that's not always the case. And scientists study a species all over the world in all different languages. So animals and plants have scientific names, and those scientific names come from Latin, and that way scientists, no matter where they are studying the species, can know exactly what each other is talking about. And the Latin name for Atlantic spotted dolphins is Stenella frontalis, and that first word, Stenella, is the genus. So that's always going to start with a capital letter, and there are more than one species in the genus Stenella, but this species specifically is Stenella frontalis, and they're speedy, saying hello. The dolphins that we study, the Atlantic spotted dolphins that we study, are off the coast of an island called Bimini in the Bahamas. And here you can see the southern tip of Florida. Here are the Florida Keys. Here's Miami, Fort Lauderdale. This sort of more purplish ocean, that's very, very deep water. And then this lighter blue is shallow bank water. And all of this area here, and even further off the screen where that's not shown, is the country of the Bahamas. The Bahamas is made up of hundreds of islands. It's an independent country, and Dolphin Communication Project studies the dolphins off the coast of the island of Bimini, and that's here in this orange circle. And the dolphins here seem to really like to play in this nice shallow water, and then they zip over to the deep water to feed, and probably come back to the shallow water to do all their other business, and zip over to the deep water to feed. So it's a very, very convenient place to live if you're a dolphin. And DCP has been studying these dolphins every single year since 2001. We're going to talk about a couple of specific individual dolphins today. You can learn more about individual Atlantic spotted dolphins by going to our website. You can find this page under the Ways to Help menu, or you can go straight to adoptawilddolphin.com, and that's going to bring you directly to this page. And each of these tiles, when it's the actual website, is a link to a short biography of the dolphin and a little picture of it. And if you want, you can adopt those dolphins. So we know that Atlantic spotted dolphins live in the Atlantic Ocean, and we know that they have spots. So how many of the dolphins up here are Atlantic spotted dolphins? This one must be, right? Because it has lots of spots, a few spots. This one that's snuck in here has lots of spots. So maybe this one's not a spotted dolphin and this one's not a spotted dolphin. Well, even though they are Atlantic spotted dolphins, they are born without spots. So they are born with no spots, and they get their spots right around the same time that they leave their mom. But they continue to get more and more and more and more spots throughout their entire lives. So we can use the amount of spots a dolphin has, roughly how spotted they look, to estimate their age. This dolphin here is a neonate, so it's a newborn dolphin. It has no spots at all, but it does have this two-tone coloration, so the belly is light and the back is dark. That gives it a little camouflage in the ocean. But it has these little tiger stripes, and those are wrinkles from having been folded up inside of mom. Those wrinkles fade as the calf grows and stretches out, and then we call it a calf. So here a calf just has that two-tone coloration, but no more fetal folds, but it also doesn't have any spots yet. Then it starts to get its first spots, a speckling of spots, if you will. And then it continues to get more spots. It's a subadult when it has lots of dark spots along the side and the belly and quite a few white spots on the back. And then as it gets more spots, where spots are on top of spots, it's the full adult. And we call that adult a fused spot pattern because the spots have fused together. So even though the dolphins don't tell us their birthdays, would be nice, we can use how many spots they've developed to estimate their age. We also want to look and see if we're studying male or female dolphins. So if you haven't already seen it, you may want to check out our dolphin lesson on photo ID. And there we talk a little bit about sexual dimorphism and how to tell male and female animals apart. Today we're going to stick to these dolphins, and we will show you here an example of a male spotted dolphin. So we have to get a good view of the belly. This is the belly of the dolphin, and it has a long genital slit, then a gap, and a shorter anal slit. So the male looks a bit like an exclamation point. And the female has one long slit and then has two shorter slits on each side. So she looks a little bit like a sideways uneven division symbol. Does anybody know what these little shorter slits are for on the female dolphin? You can put your, if you're listening live, you can put your suggestion in the chat, and if it's a recording, you can shout out your answer in your room. Dolphins are mammals, right? So that means that the mother has to give milk to her offspring, to her calf. So these are the mammary slits, and that's where her milk is going to come out to feed her calf. So now we are going to talk about how we recognize individual dolphins. And again, going back to our previous webinar on photo ID, that's the one you want to listen to find out why it's important to tell them apart and learn more about the background there. Today we're going to focus on some actual distinct markings and how researchers keep track of those markings. And one way that we can do it is by sketching them out. So we do a little less sketching nowadays because we have digital photography, and it's very easy to just kind of swipe through and look at different dolphins. But it's still a good exercise for learning how, when you just look at a dolphin or you look at 5 dolphins, they all look the same. But if you train yourself, you can really start to tell them apart. Just like I'm sure if you know multiple dogs of the same breed, you figured out how to tell them apart. We can tell each other apart. So if you already downloaded it, these are just those sketches that were available that we're going to draw on. And I'm going to turn it over to Raina now, and she's going to walk us through drawing a dolphin really quickly in case you don't want to use the sketch provided. So let me pass it over to you, Miss Raina.
Thanks, Kel. All right, so get out your marker, and you're going to need a piece of paper or perhaps a tablet if you have that. Okay, so I'm going to switch cameras now so that you can see You can follow along with my drawing, so just give me 1 sec. Right, cool. So this is kind of what our final drawing is going to look like. And when I draw a dolphin, I like starting with the dolphin's back. So what we're going to start with is we're going to draw, starting from this forehead area or the melon area here, we're going to draw a long, oops, sorry, it's turned off the light. Hopefully that works better now. And so we're going to start from this forehead area, and we're going to draw kind of like a rainbow arch, maybe a little bit flatter than that. And we're going to go all the way to the tail area here. So we're just going to draw this first line like this. So make sure you leave room for the dolphin's rostrum, but we're going to start around here, and we're just going to go, there we go. Kind of like a flat rainbow. Okay, so now we're going to draw the dolphin's rostrum, and we're just going to start from here and go loop around, kind of like a hairpin turn here. And I find that spotted dolphins tend to have like a long and slender rostrum, so we're just going to go ahead and go draw a nice slender rostrum, kind of looking like a paper clip here. Okay, so then if you're following along, we're going to keep going and start drawing the belly of the dolphin. So we're going to keep going, we're going to draw the belly, but we don't want to go all the way yet because we want to leave room for the pectoral fin. So I think this is about good. I think the fin will start around here. And so to draw the fin, I'm going to draw a line kind of curving down this way. So I'll start with that. There we go, that looks okay. And then we'll do the same thing on the other side. So we're gonna start from up here and draw a line that kind of joins this front part of the fin here. So we'll do that, there we go. And then I'll kind of loop around to join the lines together. Kind of want to make the dolphin look a little bit 3D. So I'll also draw the pectoral fin on the other side, but I'll make it just a little bit smaller because it's a little further away. So I'll start a little bit in front, draw it down like that. And then the same thing, we'll join another line for kind of the back, just like that. Okay, so now we got the back of the dolphin, we got the rostrum, we got our 2 pectoral fins. Let's finish the belly. So we're gonna pretend like we're gonna like continue the line from the belly up here, but obviously we don't want to draw over it because you know the pectoral fin is covering the belly. So we're going to pretend that we're continuing the line, but we're actually going to start it back here, and then we're just going to bring the rest of the belly close to kind of where the tail is going to be. And now I actually want the back and the belly to be a little bit closer because the dolphin's a bit skinnier at the end near its tail, right? So I'm going to bring it down a little bit, but maybe yours is already like that. So maybe you don't need to make that adjustment. But now we got this back area here and we're ready for the tail. So then I'll draw a line coming out of the back for this part of the tail here. And we're going to draw a line going down like this. And then we're going to do the same thing for this side, but we're just going to make it a little bit shorter. So I'll have it coming down like that. Okay, now let's join the tail together. And so what I like to do is I like to put a dot in the middle, right where this spot's going to be, kind of where the tail, the fluke goes up a little bit. And then I'm going to start from here and I'm just going to join the line up like this to meet the little center dot here. And then I'll do the same thing, but I'll start from the middle and then go back towards the line over here. That looks a little funky, but I think we can tell that it's a tail. All right, so what are we still missing? We're missing the dolphin's dorsal fin. That's very important. So we're going to go to the middle of the back of the dolphin, kind of behind the pectoral fins here. And again, kind of the same way we drew these fins down here. I'll start from the dolphin's back and I'll draw a line going out. and up. And then I'll start from up here this time, and then whew, have a line going back down, curve it a little bit, and there we have the dorsal fin. Right now, our dolphin can't open its mouth, and we don't want that. So let's add a smile. And now our dolphin can open and close its mouth and eat, which is great. Let's draw an eye. Make a big circle. And then I like to put like a little small circle in the big circle, and that's kind of like the reflection of the eye. And then we'll color this in, and we'll make the dolphin look nice and cute. There we go. I think we're almost done. The last thing we need to do is add just a little line here, just for the dolphin's blowhole, so that he or she can go to the surface and breathe. And I think so far that's it. And then I guess we'll figure out what age we want our dolphin to be, or what kind of markings it has, so that we can tell it apart from our other dolphins. So I'll turn it back to Cal now.
Thank you so much, Raina. So now everyone has a kind of blank dolphin to work with, and we're gonna go back to our presentation, and hopefully Raina or Dr. Kathleen can let me know if the slides are not up properly. And then we'll wait for technology to catch back up and let me move to the next slide. Oh.
I'll just keep going.
There we go. So the first dolphin we're going to talk about is Inca. Inca is number 93 in our photo ID catalog. And again, you can learn more about how they get their numbers and what their numbers tell us in previous webinars. But what do you think? If this is Inca's belly, the tail is this way, the head is this way, do you think that Inca is male or female? And we know what part of the body to look at. Here we have this part. So that's right, Inca is female. She has this long slit here, and here's one mammary slit, and here's the other. And she's starting to get her spots. So we're going to talk in a minute about what age we think she is. But you can imagine that as a dolphin gets more and more spots, these slits become harder and harder to see. So we are very happy when we get a chance to get a dolphin into our catalog, discover if it's male or female before they get so old that it gets harder and harder to see. Now, someone has asked what is going on over here. If this are the genital slits to tell if it's male or female, what is this kind of slit indentation going on over there? Any guesses? Shout it out in your room. It's the dolphin's belly button. I have only seen dolphins with innies. I have not seen a dolphin with an outie, but they do in fact have belly buttons.
And sorry, Cal, to interrupt. I've only seen one dolphin in all my years that actually had an outie.
Oh,
mm-hmm. And
so it's possible.
Yep. And as he got older, it went away. So it was pretty cool.
Excellent. Always new things to find. So here's a picture of Incas Side. And this is why we had Miss Raina draw that side of the dolphin for us today. So before we talk about her specific markings, you may already see something that looks pretty distinct. What age class do you think Inca is in this picture? Do you think she's a neonate with fetal folds, a calf who's just two-tone but no spots, a juvenile who has the two-tone but has just a speckling of dark spots along the side and on the belly? Or is she starting to get lots of dark spots and then even white spots on her back? Or does she have so many spots that you cannot tell where one spot ends and the next begins? She is fully fused with spots. How old is Inca in this picture? That's right. She's a juvenile in this picture. So that gives us an estimate of her age, and it tells us what we would expect to see from her behavior. So we would expect her to be independent from her mom, but we'd expect that she doesn't have her own calf yet. So now let's get to those markings. Let's zoom in a little bit so that we can see things a little bit better. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this up for a minute or so that you can take note on your own. Maybe you want to make some adjustments on your drawing, start drawing a few of her spots. Do you see any other marks on her body that you think not all of the dolphins have? And while we leave this up for a minute, we'll go to Dr. Kathleen and see if anyone has any questions.
Well, we did get one question, and it was either for the previous photo, but I think it would work with this one, is how, if she's a juvenile, how old in years would you say she is in this particular photo?
Good question. So in this particular photo, we think she's about 6 years old, 5 or 6 in that. And some of that is based on the fact that we saw her for so many years before with her mom. So even though we don't know exactly her birthday, we knew right around what year we thought she was born, and we're able to take photos of her each year and have a better estimate. And now Inca's more like 11, almost. So she now has even more spots than this. But this was a nice shot to see some of her marks there.
So this photo is like 4 years, or not, like 5 years old?
Yep,
Okay.
just about. Yeah.
Cool.
So she has even more spots now. And her mom, if you're curious, is Juliet. So if you want to look up a little more info about her mom later, you can find that. So some of the things, did anybody make note of this pectoral fin, right? So this is not the normal shape of a pectoral fin, as we just saw in drawing it. So she had some kind of injury here. We think that maybe she got bit by a shark, but it healed very well. Doesn't give her any trouble. She gets around just fine. She also has this scar here, if you can see it on your screen, and that's a separate injury. So this first pectoral fin injury was already there. It was already well healed when she got bit by what was probably a smaller shark here. A shark that really just thought it was tougher than it really was. And then she also has spots along the way. So I tend to look for spots in a row. So these 3 spots that aren't in a perfect row catch my eye, and then there's kind of a bigger gap, and then there's a 4th spot here, and those would be some of the marks that I would do. And what's important is that you make note of a marking and then another marking relative to it. So no 2 dolphins are going to have the same spot pattern, but it is possible for 2 dolphins to have the same spot in one spot, in one location. 2 people could have the same freckle or a freckle in the same spot on their arms, but they're not going to have the full pattern, all of them be the same. So here you can use this scar, and then these spots should be right where the light and dark colorations meet. And then, of course, her very distinct pectoral fin. So now let's give Paul a try. So Paul is ID number 99, and this is a nice shot of him playing with some seaweed. And what is maybe the first, not even spot patterns, but the first thing that jumps out at you about Paul? And you want to draw that into your dolphin sketch if you have done a second dolphin, or if you have a printout or pulled up DCP sketch on your touch screen. He's got these very distinct notches in his peduncle. So the peduncle is the area behind the dorsal fin and before the tail fluke. And he got these 2 notches were probably at the same time. So these 2 notches are the scar that's left from a single injury, possibly a shark attack. And we have some questions.
Does Does it, you're presenting both of these dolphins on what is their right side. Does it matter left or right side when you're looking at their marks or their scars?
Excellent question. So it does. There are some that are handy and visible from both sides and multiple angles. His notches in his peduncle here, they're right on the top. So you can see the notches no matter what side you're looking at. A dorsal fin notch or missing the tip, right? That's going to be visible no matter which side you look at the dolphin. But though their spot patterning is consistent on their body in terms of the amount of spotting, so you won't have a dolphin that looks like an adult on one side and looks like a juvenile on the other side. They develop their spots in terms of the amount of spotting, and the rate of spotting is symmetrical, but the spots themselves are not. So we do have to get documentation of their right side and their left side. And aside from those markings that are very distinct and visible from both sides, we can't add them to our photo ID catalog until we've seen that left and right. Or more accurately, we temporarily add them if we only have a left or only have a right. Because we might give number 100 to a right side. This is a very cool spot pattern. I'll always recognize this, and we give 100 to the right. And then we give 101 to the left side. This is a totally unique dolphin. I've never seen it before. I'll always recognize this pattern. And then a year later, a month later, we realize, oh, that was the right side and the left side of the same dolphin. And we've accidentally given 2 numbers to 1 dolphin. So we wait until we've seen both sides. Nice question. And here you can, yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. There was another question. Is Paul eating the seaweed?
He is not. So that we know of, they do not eat the seaweed. And this particular seaweed is called sargassum. It's very plentiful in Bimini. And while we don't think it's an important part of their diet directly, it does seem to be an important part of their social life. So they play with it, and they play with it on their own, like you see here. He probably having some fun dragging this around. And then sometimes they use it as an object to play with each other, and they pass it to each other, whether they're holding it in their mouths in an open mouth like this, or grabbing a hold of it with a fin or draping it on their tail. And then they'll drop it in a way that seems to pass it to another dolphin who then has a turn with it. So it's one of a very fun thing that we see. And then we also see them rubbing it. So it floats at the surface, and we'll often see them just kind of graze their head on it as they come up to breathe, or rub their back on it as they come to the surface. We'll zoom in a little bit more on Paul, because if you're trying to see the spot patterns and not just very obvious things like peduncle notches, you've got to get pretty close up. So here you might want to take a minute and see what spot patterns jump out at you. Maybe it's this light spot here that's kind of a cluster of spots, and then 2 off to the side. Maybe you see something farther up here. Some of the things that jump out at me are these 2 larger white spots with a darker spot there. And if I'm drawing light spots on a white piece of paper, I'll often just do an open circle. And that would tell me that it's a white spot versus a filled in circle that tells me it's a dark spot. And these 2 always jump out at me on Paul, especially like if he's riding the bow of the boat, because the white spot and the dark spot have fused. They've developed touching each other, but it's the opposite. So here the dark spot is kind of above and then, or on the left, and then the light spot is below or to the right, and then just ahead it's a similar pattern but flipped. And then here are some other distinct larger spots that I might tend to look for if I was trying to match video of Paul with a cataloged still photo that we have here.
So we have another question.
Yes.
And how many years does it take for an Atlantic spotted dolphin to become a fully grown adult?
Good question. And some of that might depend on where they live. So there might be a little bit of geographic variation in that. The youngest female spotted dolphin that we confirmed had a successful calf, so a calf that, you know, at least survived the first few months, was 10. And that was a little younger than I was expecting. I was not expecting to see that. And then we have other females whose first successful calf hasn't been until estimated, we thought they were more like 15 or 16 years old. And then by the time they're really looking spotted, we'll come back to Kiwi in a second. Maybe, oh, there we go. By the time they're super spotted like this, so this adult here, Juliet, is probably over 20 years old. Tina in this photo is 18 years old about. So that's how long it takes them to get this spotted. Nice question. And here is so we did Paul, and this is Kiwi, who you may want to sketch or not, because Kiwi doesn't have any spots yet in this picture. So this is a calf, and we can't add calves to the catalog normally because they don't have any spots for us to recognize later. But Kiwi has this very distinct dorsal fin. He was not born this way. He had an injury there. And so now when he comes to the surface, he kind of looks like he has a little handle. So that allowed us to give Kiwi ID number 121. This is Tina's son, Kiwi, and keep track of him over time. He does have his first couple of spots now this summer. Exciting. So we already covered this, so it's just a reminder, as they go through life, they get more and more spots until they're covered in spots. Sometimes I close my eyes at the end of the day and I just see spots everywhere. And you can continue to learn more about these dolphins at our webpage. So if you're on dolphincommunicationproject.org, there are all sorts of links to the Adopt a Dolphin page, or you can find it under the Ways to Help menu. You can also get to this page directly by visiting adoptawilddolphin.com. Our webinars are all posted on our website. You can find that under the Education tab and Webinar. And toward the top, the first or second is always the upcoming schedule, so the next 2 or 3 programs that we have planned. If you prefer, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's Clever, Dolphin Communication Project, and be sure you never miss a program. And of course, we have our upcoming programs. So we have the next deep dive is this coming Thursday. That's more geared towards older students and the general public. Some of our friends, Dr. Bernd Versig and Mel Versig, are going to be talking about mentors. And then our next Dolphin Lesson is Tuesday the 17th of this month, again at 1 o'clock, and that's on being a zookeeper. So that's not going to be dolphins only, but our friend Suna is going to talk about being a zookeeper. And then, of course, we have our podcast, The Dolphin Pod. You can get that wherever you get your podcasts. And for kids and grown-ups, I think some of them are for all ages, the young at heart. Under that Education tab on our website are our kids science activities. These are all downloadable PDFs, activities, word searches, coloring pages, jumbles, all sorts of things to keep you occupied. And of course, if you have enjoyed this program, we thank you for joining live or watching the recording. And if you want to support DCP, there are plenty of ways to do that, whether it's our Adopt a Wild Dolphin program, becoming a member, getting yourself a t-shirt, or joining us in the field one day, or making us your Amazon Smile charity, all sorts of things. Our website is there, and how to stay in touch. So feel free to email us, follow us on social media, and I don't know if we have any extra questions or if this is bye and thank you.
I don't have any other questions. I was just trying to come up with some, but I think it's pretty cool. The only question actually that I did come up with is when you're in the field, Cal, how many dolphins do you think you can recognize without having to go back to the catalog to look at all the different spots?
I would say there are probably of dolphins that I have a
Mhm.
chance to see, if I count all of the dolphins, even the ones that have either moved away or died,
Yeah.
it's probably 50 or so that I can recognize right in the moment. So that's, of dolphins who are actually around, probably around 30 that I
Okay.
can ID in the moment, and then maybe another 10 or 20 that I'm like, oh, I'll know that as soon as I look them up. And then the rest kind of take play, pause, find a better angle, go through the catalog to find the matches.
It's kind of like a family ID catalog.
Yes. And hopefully 2021 will mean much more time on the water than 2020 did. And it will be very exciting and a little bit challenging because there will be dolphins for the first time I haven't
Mhm.
seen every year. And so they'll have 2 years of spots since I'd last seen them. And so that will make it a little tricky and then a little exciting to have those moments where, oh, you're getting so old. Oh, you've changed. You look different.
Yep. Yeah. Very cool.
Question.
Excellent.
Oh.
A big thank you to Raina for taking care of that dolphin sketch, not my strong suit.
And Raina has a
thank you.
question.
Oh,
Yeah, I
yes.
have a quick question. So do dolphins, since they get more and more spots as they age, do they ever, once they get really old, do they ever stop getting spots, or do they keep on getting spots forever?
Good question. As far as we can tell, they
Mhm.
keep getting spots. Yep. So there will never
Yep.
be a time where we can say, in terms of recognizing an individual, like, oh, I don't have to, if I never get any new photos of that dolphin, it's fine. It will have stopped. Yep.
Mhm.
Thanks, Kel.
Yeah. Very cool.
Awesome.
Well, thank
thank you,
you.
everybody. Thank you to our live listeners, and thank you to everyone watching this recording. Have a great day.